Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3CR and have another awesome movie review to share with you guys today. As this time I'll be giving you my official thoughts on the next installment of the Fox Marvel's movie cinematic universe, simply titled X-Men Apocalypse. Now, this movie brings back director Bryan Singer for his fourth take at the X-Men franchise. In terms of cast members, it really just brings a lot of the cast members from the two previous X-Men films, that one being First Class and Days of Future Past, with a couple of new additions. And in terms of plot, this movie kind of revolves around the main antagonist, that being Apocalypse, who's really comes from the old times of Egypt, and when something happens, it kind of forces him to have to go into hibernation for thousands and thousands of years. And when he wakes up in the 1980s, he kind of sees how the world has changed, he kind of deems it unworthy, and he decides that he's going to cleanse the earth so that only the strongest mutants will survive. And while that's going along, you have Magneto, who's kind of settled life into a much more quieter setting, and he now has a wife and a daughter, so he now has a happy family, and he's kind of living quietly just by himself. And while that's also going along, you have Charles Xavier, who's kind of built his school up, and now he has all these students, and for the most part, it seems like the world is pretty much at peace, even amongst humans and mutants. However, as soon as Apocalypse makes his return, he picks 4 horsemen to serve by his side and deems that it's now time to get things rolling. And when the situation starts to get out of control, the new set of X-Men mutants must combine their strengths and work as a team in order to save the world. Now, this movie has been getting kind of mixed reviews from what I've seen online. I believe at its now it's kind of sitting at a 52%, and I can't say that this movie is justified for that rating, because I do feel kind of in that position, because there was a lot about this movie that I really liked, but there was also a lot about this movie that I really didn't like and actually kind of held the movie back. Now, what I really liked about this movie is most of the performances, that being from the main two leads in my viewpoint, that being James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, which I believe have some of the best chemistry I've ever seen in a comic book series of movies. I mean, every time these two guys are on screen together or just acting as their own characters, it is absolutely gold. It has been doing that since First Class, and I'm happy to say it continues here. Especially for Michael Fassbender's portrayal of a much kind of broken down Magneto, because he has a very emotional scene kind of earlier on in the film, and you really see what Magneto is when he has completely lost everything and he's just a broken man. It is truly haunting to see just his performance, and it really is, in my opinion, the performance of the film. Another thing that I also really liked was the introduction of a lot of the younger mutants, that one being the much younger Scott Summers, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler. I thought they handled their roles very, very well, and I actually think they handled their action scenes quite well too. Another thing that I also really liked to a degree was the visuals. This movie is a truly stunning movie, especially with some of the action scenes, which, though they are a bit over the top, they are still incredible to look at. However, without question, the best thing about this film, which this is going to be the second time in a row, is Evan Peters' portrayal as Quicksilver and his sequence. Now, everyone was kind of bashing on him before Days of Future Past came out, and most people said that he had the scene of the film, and I'm happy to say that that continues here, because he has another sequence like that, but it's even longer and it is better and superior than anything you saw in Days of Future Past. And even Quicksilver himself as a character has a much more important role, because you do find out, as it is said in the trailers, that Magneto is his father. And so the question is he going to tell Magneto that, you know, I'm your son, or are we going to say this for another time? And he has a much more interesting presence this time around, and I'm really happy to say that most of the new mutants that are introduced in this film are put in a position by the end of this film that you want to see their stories continue on into the next film, and that's why I really am looking forward to the next X-Men film. Now, to get into some of the negatives. Now look, I have never been a Jennifer Lawrence fan. Outside of the X-Men movies, I can't think of a single movie that she has worked on that I have liked, and I am not ashamed to say that she does not want to be in this film, because she has a terrible performance, because she's clearly sleepwalking through this entire movie. The expression on her face is like the same. It looks like she's just kind of emotionless, and it's clear she doesn't want to be here. She clearly did not want to be in the Mystique makeup because of what happened in Days of Future Past, because apparently it was like affecting her skin, so you don't even really get a lot of scenes of her character in the Mystique makeup. So for a character who's supposed to be pushed to the front and is supposed to be so proud of being a mutant and not wanting to hide, it just kind of feels kind of inconsistent. Another thing that I thought was really badly handled is Apocalypse and his horsemen. Two of the horsemen in particular. Now, look, Oscar Isaac is a great actor, but I don't think that Bryan Singer really understood exactly how to present Apocalypse properly. Now, Apocalypse is supposed to be a truly terrifying antagonist who has all these incredible, devastating, and haunting powers. And it just seemed like he was kind of seriously powered down and was just prone to monologuing. I mean, he's such a one-dimensional character because he just wants to wipe out, mute all the humans and cleanse the world just because. And it seemed like his powers were always kind of inconsistent because it seemed like they were always adapting to whatever the script said he needed to be. Because there were several times where he's kind of being beaten and then he'll add like a new power and all of a sudden, oh, now I'm back ahead. And there's even one sequence that was just kind of weird. I'm like, why would you do that? Why do you need these horsemen when, if you're so powerful, you can do this yourself? And two of the horsemen in particular, that being Angel and Psylocke, I don't even understand why they were even picked by Apocalypse because they're not even all that interesting. I mean, Angel, the reason why he joins Apocalypse is kind of like whatever, and Psylocke's like I'm sure, like, trust me, Olivia Munn is a solid actress, but she turned down Deadpool for this role, and I have no idea why, because they don't really have her do anything except stand around and pose. And sure, she's got like a solid action scene, but it's kind of very underwhelming. And another issue I also have with this movie is the essence of time. Now look, if anyone's been following these movies of this new continuity, you would know that it's been about 20 years between the events of First Class and Apocalypse. And these characters don't seem to age at all. I mean, I know that in terms of the production of these movies, it's only been about maybe 2 years, but it's been a solid decade for these characters in these movies, and they don't look like they've really aged at all. I mean, okay, sure, Magneto looks like he hasn't really shaved in a month, and I guess Charles Xavier took his hippie hair and decided to, you know, comb it out and be a little bit more presentable, and I guess Raven decided just to add a couple of curls in her hair here and there. But the essence of time, these characters need to be getting older, especially if we're going into the 90s next. I mean, by that time period, these characters should be in their late 40s to early 50s, and they still look like they're in their early 30s, late 20s. So they have to figure out a way to age these characters. I understand it might be a challenge, but it can be done because I'm sorry, it was really distracting with the entire film, and it really held it back from really being something great. Now, another sequence that I'm going to talk about, as you can tell from my shirt, that I feel kind of mixed on, is the cameo of Wolverine. Now, the sequence itself was okay, but I don't think it was really needed. And really, by the end of that sequence, let's just say that Wolverine has a moment with another character, which was really kind of uncomfortable, and I won't say exactly what happens, but let's just say it kind of gave off kind of a pedophile-like feeling. That's all I'm going to say, and it was just kind of uncomfortable. And it really made little sense that Hugh Jackman looks even older now than he should be. I mean, if you look at the timeline, shouldn't he be younger now than he was in the very first X-Men movie? So the fact that he's older is another aging issue, which I think they really need to address. As you can tell, I'm very, very mixed about this film. There is a lot about this movie to enjoy, which is why I absolutely would recommend you see it in theaters, but there's a lot about this movie that just holds it back from being something great. And out of all of Bryan Singer's X-Men films, this is by far the weakest. If I had to give this movie a rating, I'm going to have to give it an average rating of a C. Definitely check this out if you are an X-Men fan, but if you were really looking forward to this movie, I would just suggest that you really lower your expectations, because after coming the massive success that was Days of Future's Past, this just isn't anywhere near this movie's level, and it's kind of disappointing in a way. If you like this movie review, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe, check me my future movie reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, you're awesome, and I will see you next time.